right. Welcome, everyone. Can I ask the past president to hold it down? All right, we're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to do is welcome new members. Do we have any new members with us today? Really, Tony? What is your name? What is it?
Rita.
Rita? Okay, Rita. And where, do you have bees? Do you not have bees?
My daughter had bees for years, and I helped her. She can't keep bees where she lives now, so I want to keep bees. So next year, I'm planning on getting her this year for the class.
Awesome.
I got my garden license.
Perfect. I was going to be, my next question was, did you sign up with our beginner course and learn what to do instead of jumping in full force like me, not knowing a darn thing? So awesome. And where are you located?
I'm near Coatesville.
Coatesville? Okay. All right. Awesome. Can we think any new questions for new beekeepers? What else do we usually ask? That's it, right? Do you have bees? Are you signed up?
I know what you're in for.
Welcome, name, location. Do we have, seriously? Turn around and look down. Any other new beekeepers? No? Definitely not this table. Definitely not that table. All right. Cool. Where'd my agenda go? All right. So I like our new president, how it says Mark's minute, unlike George, where it was or George's entire meeting. All right. Mark,
Okay, I'm going to give 7.5 minutes because I've got a bunch of content to do today. But close, pretty close. Yeah. Thank you. Everybody knows the officers. If you don't know the officers, there's their names. You've already met Donna and Susie. Chris is, ignore the man behind the curtain. There's Chris. Carissa is not here, but her able assistant is Russ over there in the corner. Michelle Murphy is not here, but her able assistant, Howard, is here. And our past president emeritus, is that whatever the right term, and George is here, so welcome. Don't confuse George with George, because there's the other George Watman, who's our chairman of the board.
I
All right.
think Carissa is coming.
Carissa is coming?
Yes.
Yeah, it just takes a while to get here. And of course, Valley Road, depends on which Valley Road you're looking for. Got to be careful with
I
that.
look for the church.
Yes, that's a good one. All right, committee leads. I'm just going to talk about a couple. If you're interested in helping out with the beginners course, we still could use some mentors at either Sugartown or at Bonsville Mill. It's always good to have an extra experienced beekeeper around when we're doing the beginners classes or labs, I should say. Okay. We've got community outreach is Damon, and I've got some updates there for community outreach, some really good stuff. Entertainment. Monica really did a wonderful job for us. Oh, wait, Monica's here! Oh, my gosh!
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. No matter how much they cheer.
I'm here to help out now.
She's here to help.
I want to recognize Ed Peters. Ed's here somewhere. There he is, right here in front of us. He has joined the grants committee working with Lauren and Paul. The other Paul, not that Paul, but Paul Lisco is over there, yes. And reviewing all the grant requests and getting that all pushed out and together. Storefront managers, Vince. I don't see Vince but Bill Rafferty is here. Bill, thank you for helping set this place up and getting it all ready for us. And then I also want to thank Lauren for taking on the role of the raffleer. And yes, exactly. We'll take a round of applause there. And we got the raffle prizes up here sitting behind, being guarded by Donna and Susie.
I want you to see the good stuff.
The good stuff, yes. Includes one of the new CCBA water bottles, logoed and everything. Ooh, they're pretty. Next. Okay, thank yous to Carissa and her conference team, about 18, 19 people that are involved with the conference, but we still need volunteers for the conference. I'll talk about that in a minute. The meeting planning, Donna and Susie, thanks. Bill for arranging space. Beginners program, the apprentice programs, thank you for for everyone that's been involved in setting that up. And then just thank you for those who have helped and those who are gonna. All right, next. We got 35 people registered right now at the beginner's course, which means we have, I think, 1 slot left open. It's not 2, but I think it's now down to 1. The apprentice program is still open and available for both teachers and apprentices. So if you know somebody who needs to take that apprentice program, you can slot them in there. The other thing on the beginners program, we do have a classroom only option for those that can't take the lab or don't want to take the lab, but they just want to do the either online or in-person classroom. That's $100 for the beginners, and the apprentice program's $150 for the hands-on experience. Refreshments, thank you to Pat Gorman, who ran the coffee this morning. If you want to help out there and take that on for one of the months, hit the scan code there or go to the volunteer options on the front page, on our home page. And then make sure you always check the calendar, or the club calendar, or check your email before the next meeting, because it may move. Next month we will be back at the Scout Center. I did confirm that with them, with Jessica yesterday, talking to her, and that's with a little bit of crossed fingers, because there's still the drywall is up. They're pulling down the insulation that got all wet. The first floor was really trashed, so but it looks like we'll be back in next. Heads up for you, the Pennsylvania State Beekeepers Summer Picnic and the Penn State Extension Field Day is on the same day, July 18th and 19th, up at the Ag Progress Days event, the Expo Center. They're doing the Saturday picnic, and then Saturday afternoon they'll start the field day. Robin Underwood is running that, so it'll be talks, it'll be hands-on, hands-in hives Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday as well. There will be a field day event. That's where it's at, and should be interesting. And it'll be a nominal fee for all the field day stuff, which I think they're rolling it all together at one price, get you to the picnic and get you to the field day. Next. We got a women's bee group event coming up Monday. Yeah. So Monday, James Nee will be talking about honeybee communication, how these bees talk, and what they talk about, why they talk. Where's the nectar? Where's the pollen? We're good to go. Next up, keep an eye out for engagement opportunities. We've got a lot of stuff that's coming up where in some cases you can bring your honey to sell. Other cases it might be a talk or just manning a booth or helping out at the conference. And we'll talk more of that in a second, which is the conference. Oh, there we go. Just so that you understand, we are doing, Chuck is running lead on this, the VA Hives program, which is a PTSD / wellness event that they're running, and we've got a number of volunteers that are going to be there to help out. They're doing their ground school now, which is their classroom sessions online, and then starting in April, they'll be in the hives, and they're using the hives at the park, at the Scout Center. We've got Earth Day at the Upper Main Line YMCA. We've got a homeschool event at Bonsville Mill. We've got the Helicopter Museum, 2 events at the Helicopter Museum, including now a 2-day STEM event at the Helicopter Museum, which I think is in June, but it's on the event calendar. Hats off to Damon, who can't be here because he's got 4 kids still at home and running around doing kid stuff. Kimberton Whole Food, not that you don't and that you don't, 3 each, right? Kimberton Whole Foods are doing a roundup for us in August. 2 years ago, our roundup was $15,000, I think, something like that, a significant amount. And it will be at their new location in Eagle View. So we'll should have a couple of opportunities to set the tent and talk to people and show off bees and do all that sort of thing. So that'll be a wonderful thing. Excellent, thank you. Okay, conference update. Right now, if you have not signed up for the conference, please do so. It's $65. If you wait till the day before or the day of, it's $75 and no lunch. You sign up by Monday, we'll be able to get you a lunch. So if you haven't signed up, please do so. Right now, we got about 156 people registered for the conference, but that means that there's about 175 people that are now attendees because of speakers and vendors. We've got a bunch of vendors. We've got door prizes, and this year, for the first time, we're going to have door prizes. You can buy additional tickets for the door prizes. Yeah, in the past, you got one on the way in. We've got the license to hold a raffle, so we'll be raffling that stuff off, and you can buy $1 a ticket, as many as you want. So there you go. All right, and again, we need some volunteers for that. You can hit the QR code or simply go to the volunteer page on the main site to volunteer. Next. All right, Landon Davis reached out and said, hey, can you guys send out some requests for information? He's doing a wax moth survey. If you would go do this wax moth survey, I did validate through Steve Keller, who's the president of the Berks and Scoop County Beekeeper Association, that this kid is real. It's not a scam. And he's a younger beekeeper, but he's been beekeeping for about 7 or 8 years. So he started like Howard when he was 8. Sorry, 7? Six. Okay. Got to get it right. So that's the wax moth. So he's just looking for surveys to help him out do this wax moth device development. Next slide. All right, this is something I found last year on those nice hot July, August days where it was 100 degrees and you put your bee suit on and immediately were drenched in sweat. This little vest, which cost about 20 or $30, it comes with these ice packs. You throw the ice packs in the freezer. Once they're frozen, you throw them into that vest. Put the vest on, and it's like, oh, wow, this is actually nice. I could be like this, and they last a couple hours. It's not like they melt in 15 minutes. There's special gelatin that keeps it cool. So that's kind of nice. All right.
Now that I'm not president, I don't have 5 minutes anymore.
No, you've got
So a little bit of an update on some bees, right? So So we do have bees at a bunch of locations in the club, right? So we have bees at the Park Center. We have 3 hives at the Park Center, and all 3 made it through the winter. So that's good news, right? So we have bees at Bondsville Mill Park.
Don't have an update on those.
Don't have an update on Bondsville Mill Park. We have bees at Sugartown.
3 of 3.
3 of 3. And then a lot of our bees are at Cheslin, right? So has anybody never been to the Cheslin site yet? Well, the Cheslin site is at 651 Brandywine Drive in Westchester, but it's so we have the apprentice programs out there and the queen programs out there, right? So we have a lot of hives out there. Anybody's welcome to go out there and walk around and see it. If you haven't been out there, you should be out there. So the apprentice program had 16 nukes going into winter. So the 5-frame nukes, so the 5-frame nukes were either in 2 deeps or 2 deep, or a deep and a medium, right? So they were relatively small hives. We had 16 going through winter and 14 made it. So not bad on nukes. So yes, even if the wet, so I've said for a long time, like you can keep bees in small boxes through the winter. Ernie knows this. He's been doing it forever, and we're sort of showing it. And then the queen team had, anyone from the queen team here? Do you know what your stats are out there?
Charlie's here.
Oh, Charlie's. I didn't see Charlie. I saw Ed, but I didn't see Charlie.
What did I do?
How many? What are the stats of the queen team boxes for the winter? Just they exist.
Well, he's going to talk about that.
Oh, he's going to talk about that. I'm not going to steal your show. But
There's 12 right now.
and they're in single 5 frames.
They're in single five.
So we overwintered up near 30 hives out at Cheslin, either in single 5 frames a deep and a medium 5 frames or 2 deep 5 frames. So that's good to hear. And our overwinter survival within the club looks like 80% or 75 or 80% or something like that. So we've learned through the years. We used to not be that good. We've gotten better. And that's all about beekeeping, right? It's progress in getting better. So we have lots of bees. And surely the people signed up for the apprentice program, the beginner program, the queen program, all those programs will have bees to help educate you this year. So very excited about that. So what did I learn? Very brief before I get on. I learned 2 things this winter. Ready? Is anyone interested or not really?
I want to know.
You want to learn what I learned?
Yes.
What did you learn, George? Tell
Thank
us.
you for being engaged with me. You can't make everybody happy. So those of us who are trying in life to make everybody happy, drop it, right? Because there's always going to be somebody who's miserable no matter what you do. Okay, the two nukes that did not make it out at Cheslin, we adopted them from an HOA. So they came from an HOA because they were mean and the HOA didn't want them anymore, so we took them in, and they did not make it. And I think that they were kind of pissy bees that kind of were angry bees, but they were southern genetics, and whether or not that influenced it at all. But it's interesting that the 2 did not make it were not our genetics, that they were southern genetics. So I wonder if that local survivor adaptability thing played a role in that somehow. I can't prove it, but I wonder a little bit, right?
Of course, if you don't like the hive, if you're reluctant to go in there,
It gets less care.
they'll get less work.
Yeah, we don't think that was the factor, but you could clearly say that may have been the factor, and they were managed differently for a lot of the year. So it may not be the fact that they were southern. So that is important. I think, those of us who are getting bees this year, we may be getting bees from people bringing bees up from the south, and that's an okay way to start. But eventually what you want to do over time is try to get local genetics, right? So whether or not you're going to replace the queen or whether or not you're going to get a nuke from somebody local, if you sell nukes, raise your hand. If you're in this room and you sell nukes, raise your hand. Raise it high. High, high, high. So there's
Really
one.
high. 1 and
2.
Like,
If you
okay.
sell queens or queen cells, raise your hand. Back there. So the people that raise their hand, you should get to know because they have the local genetics. And that's important. The other thing I learned is that this is going to take a look. So Keith's not here today, and we beekeep. Even though he trained me and we started the same way, we've kind of gone in different directions. And he does big, I do small. And what I realize is that we're both correct, right? I mean, I think that you can keep bees over winter in a double deep, right, which a lot of people do and do it very successfully. And then you can keep bees in like the queen team, a 5-frame box, or Ed, a 3 or a 6-frame box through the winter, right? So it's all possible. Now, why is it? And I think I figured it out finally.
Oh, come on.
Here it is. It all depends on what the bees were in coming out of the summer solstice, right? So if coming out of the post-swarm, right? Post-swarm season, once they swarm and they set up shop post-swarm, if you have them in big boxes, like 2 deeps is your brood chamber, they're going to fill that, they're going to know that's their space, and they're going to fill that with brood and fill that with food, and they're going to overwinter in that space successfully, because that's the space they're in. If you're coming out of summer solstice and they're in a smaller space, well, then they're going to limit how much brood they're going to have. They're going to fill it with food, so it's going to be in balance. Does that make sense? So if you try to take a big hive and go into winter and stick it into a small space, what's going to happen? It's going to be too many bees for the space, and they're going to run out of food, right? If you have too small of a hive, and all of a sudden in winter you're going to try to increase their space, add a box, you're going to have too small of a colony and too big of a space, and both ends don't work. But if you start coming out of post-swarm, if as long as you kind of stick with whatever that management is coming out of swarm season, your bees are going to be fine going into the winter. And that's the way I look at it now, and that's a little bit of an art, like how to make that work, but that's how somebody can say, I overwinter in small colonies and I'm successful, and I overwinter in big colonies and I'm successful. They're both successful. It just depends what you want to do. Now, those of you who are coming out of winter, they're the 4 things in your hive that you always want to pay attention to: bees, brood, food, and disease, right? So that's what's inside your colony. No matter what colony you're running, you have those 4 things. So however your management is going to be, or whatever system you're going to run, or however you're going to do things, there's 4 things in your hive. And when you do your inspection, you should have an idea of what those 4 things are, right? So bees, brood, food, and disease. Next. And sort of, you're always sort of thinking proactively. So what am I thinking about in March? How many hives do I want this year? Like, how many came out of winter? Is my management going to be to split them to try to make more hives? Is my management not going to split them so I have a certain number of hives? If I want more hives, am I going to get sort of local bees? Am I going to, find a package of nuke suppliers that are bringing bees up from the south? And do I want them? You always have to know your bee calendar. You know what I mean? Like, how many people are really confident of of what the bee calendar is? Raise your hand. I mean, some of you are, right? Oh, come on. You guys are, there's a couple are, right? There's like 5 people that raise your hand. Shame on the rest. You have to know what happens in certain months. And yes, it moves around a little bit, but you have to know your bee calendar. And maybe we can have a talk on the bee calendar and what's in your bee calendar. But if you're going to be sustainable, you need to know what month you're doing what things for sure. And then right now, even though it doesn't seem like it, we are kind of, what's on the bee calendar in March and April is swarms, right? Like sometime the weather will warm up and the bee colonies will grow and swarm season will be upon us. And I am completely convinced that most hobbyist bee colonies swarm. And people don't even know it, and most of them swarm. And you can prevent it, right? There's different strategies to prevent it, and or you let your bee swarm. There's some people that say, oh, let your bee swarm, it's natural, it's part of nature, let them go off into the trees and all will be well. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Next. Oh, no, bees. Bees. Go back 2 slides, I'm not done yet. Bees. Okay, so if you I'll be quick.
You've already blown that.
He will be quick.
At some point, everyone's going to say, yeah, he kind of had some points there. If you overwintered in a double, right? If you overwintered in a double deep with big colonies, for whatever reason, that's the way you overwintered. Your colonies are going to be swarming early, right? Because they're bigger, they're going to be able to start up earlier. The idea of running big is to run big. Well, if you're running big to run big, you've got to be aware of that, right? So you're going to need to split them, or you're going to need to do something earlier on them because you're going to have more bees in that hive. If you're running singles, more than likely your cluster size was smaller coming out of winter, and you're going to have to do something because you're going to have to expand, right? So your bee population hopefully is expanding. I've got a bunch of emails about people that have only drone brood in your hive right now. So your bee size is going up, so you want to expand your space now, right? Expand your space. Your brood, everyone should have brood in their hive at this point. Actually, there's a bunch of hives I haven't even looked at yet. Some people have looked into the hives and they've sent me emails saying that they only have drone brood in their hive. That is not a good thing at this point. That usually means that your queen died over the winter and they tried to make a new queen, and there's a new queen in there, but she didn't mate and she's drone laying now. That you probably don't have laying workers at this point. If you see a lot of drone brood in your hive, you probably have a drone laying queen and not laying workers at this point. You can fix that problem, but it's difficult, right? So you can fix that problem if you can find the drone laying queen. The hive thinks they're queen, right? But the queen is basically unmated, so she's just laying drones. And you could try to kill that queen and put brood in it. So there's a way to fix it, or you could just let nature run its course, and the hive makes a lot of drones, and it's eventually going to dwindle and die. Food. Food, really important this time of year. Obviously, the population is increasing. The brood is increasing, so they need food. If the weather's nice, they can find food. If the weather's not nice, they can't find food. So if you've kind of gone into winter on the lighter side, you're not out of it yet. They say you're only out of it when the dandelions bloom, right? So once your dandelions bloom, you're probably out of the window that you worry about starvation. I don't see a dandelion out there yet, and I see more cold weather in the forecast, and I know the hives have brood. So if you're running light on food, you should sort of think about doing something. Now, at this point, I'm okay with feeding liquid, right? So I'm okay with putting some liquid on the hive at this point if you're worried about food. So you warm up some 1-to-1 syrup You get a mason jar or a top feeder. You put it on there in the morning, and then if it's cold at night, you may have to take it off. But you get food on the hive during the day when it's warm. I would not use solid food at this time. I would use liquid food at this time to supplement if you're light. They just can use it quicker. You know, they can use it quicker. They're trying to feed brood. If you're light, I just feel like they can use that liquid food more effectively than they can use the fondant right now.
Can I ask a question based on what you just said?
Huh.
What if all you have is solid? Is it better than nothing?
I was like, buy a bag of sugar, put water in it.
Oh, no.
Does anyone disagree with me?
I would put honey.
Someone would disagree with me. Go ahead, tell. Any other thoughts on that one? Since this is an issue, right? So some of us have light hives. We have to figure out what to put on our hives. Any other liquid users out there that want to go on the liquid side of things? Really quick, Donna, Mike, Joe. Yeah, no, for me, if I'm going to put liquid on, I'm only putting a small amount on, like a quart or so, and I'm pulling it off at night because it will chill at night, and then they won't take it once it's on there. And of course, if you put it on a nice day and there's other things out there, they're not going to touch your liquid. They're going to go out there and forage what they're going to find. So they're going to choose what's out in nature over what you put on the hive.
So when I was in the Sugartown hives a couple of days on the 9th, they were bringing in pollen like crazy, and they were bringing in nectar like crazy. There was probably 3 frames in each hive that were about half loaded with uncapped honey or nectar.
Nectar or water?
Nectar. It was nectar because I tasted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now in my area, I'm seeing
Yeah, I was shocked that there's definitely a lot of pollen coming in. I was also shocked about how much nectar was. There was a bunch of nectar. I assume nectar. I don't know for sure if it was honey that they were moving to the sides of the brood nest, or that was water, or what that source was. But there definitely was thin liquid on the outside of the brood chamber. So I thought that was interesting. So yes, I'm way over my time.
I do have a question. So in January, I asked a crazy question about my story, how I was like, I didn't feed, I needed to. So I made these sugar bricks, and I didn't know what to do because it didn't fit on the top. So I put it in an empty feeder that's supposed to be for liquid, but I put a sugar brick in. I haven't been in the hive since, but I have another sugar brick in my freezer. I was thinking about taking that out when I go in and putting it in case they need it. So it's...
Can the bees get to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that's a good consensus?
Yeah.
George, I did what you said. I had text George and asked him. I thought all of my hives died, and they didn't. The one didn't die, and it was booming. And I actually have some slides to show you, but it had sugar bricks. George said go ahead and give them liquid. So there were 2 days that were really warm. I gave them liquid. I pulled it off at night. I went the next day, gave them liquid, pulled it off at night, and then just left the sugar bricks. And I'm actually going to show you something about the sugar bricks.
And did they take it or no?
They took, well, I put 2 little containers up there, and they almost emptied one, or it dripped out.
Yeah. So my practice of feeding liquid this time of year is actually from Warren Graham, honestly. So Warren Graham is a master beekeeper who I don't know if he was past president, but he used to come, and he used to always give some early feed in the spring. And I always said that, like, you're okay to do that? He said, as long as it's a small amount, then you do it. You can do it. So anyway,
Warren was using the yogurt cup.
yeah, he was using the yogurt cups this time of year
That's
to sort of
hilarious.
give them some extra feed. So anyway, that's all and disease. So don't forget, Don Coates passed this winter. So those of you, I think we sent that out. Don Coates was a veterinarian who did a lot of work within the CCBA. We're going to do something to recognize Don at some point for his contribution to the CCBA. But Don always said, "How sick is normal?" Right? That was his quote. That was his phrase. Like, how sick is normal? And the point of that is that every hive has some disease in it all the time. Right? Every hive has despite our great beekeepers in this club, every hive has a varroa in it. Every hive has a small hive beetle in it. He was big in doing PCRs. And sometimes I was like, Don, why are you doing PCRs? And you're not going to do anything. But he did PCRs on deformed wing virus. And he got these levels back. And pretty much every hive had some PCR titer in it, right? So every hive has deformed wing virus in it. Every hive has acute paralysis. It's just a matter of how sick is normal, right? And that's an important part to remember when you're sort of taking care of your hives. You're always trying to make sure that your hives don't appear sick. trying to prevent sickness, and if they are getting sick, get on top of it, because every hive has some sickness in it.
PCR?
Oh, PCR for non-scientist related. So it's a polymerase chain reaction. So it's a way to get sort of viral titers in a hive. So he would send Sam. He'd always want. He's like, the CCBA should be funding this work where we send bee samples off to Beltsville, and we end up knowing what viruses are in the hive. And that was his point. Is like
Pull him further
so
over.
it's a way. PCR is a way to tell you whether or not you have 10 copies of virus in your hive, or 1,000 copies of virus in your hive, or 10,000 copies of the virus in your hive. And the reason why that's important is that bees are okay with 10 copies or 100 copies. What happens is when it gets to 10,000 copies, that's when things crash, right? And that was his point. So this time of year, the way to prevent disease is how?
Control varroa.
Control varroa. You're always thinking varroa, right? Varroa is number one. The other way to prevent disease is hive space often. You don't want to make your hive space too big too quick, right? Because what happens?
They get weak.
They get weak. They can't thermoregulate properly. What happens if we get chilled? Your mom always said put a hat on, right? You know, if you make bees too quick, too big, too quick, they get chilled. They can't thermoregulate. They're more susceptible. The other thing people do this time of year that's bad for disease is what? What causes chalk brood? Chill brood.
Reversing the hives.
Correct. If you split the brood this early on and chill brood, you're at risk for having chalk brood and probably other diseases too, right? So one of the things you don't want to do this early on in the year is start doing the demery too quickly or start making splits too quickly, because you're splitting brood and you may not have the bee coverage for that, right? And when you split the brood and don't have bee coverage, that brood is susceptible to disease now, right? So there's things that you're always doing to limit the disease burden in a hive. And that's it. That's all I got. I took way too long. Thanks, Mark.
Donna's feeding.
So I mentioned that I reached out to George and asked him about feeding, so I got a chance to open. I'm in the
You're fine.
spot,
You're
right?
fine.
I got a chance to open my hive, and I had put some hard candy on top. First of all, I thought this hive was dead. And my friend was over my house on my deck and said, I see your bees flying around. I'm like, wait, shut up, really? I got so excited. So the first chance I got, I went out and looked, and when I pulled that off, I was shocked. I was like, wow, they're definitely not dead. But there was so much candy left, and I was surprised. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if they can get to it. So I flipped it over, and this is what I found. See the grooves in it? Like, they literally ate what they could get, and you could see where the frames are that they, I'm not sure if they were standing on top of the frame to do that, or if that was in this space. I'm not sure which is which. But they definitely got at what they could get, and then I put some liquid feed out there. But anyway, if you're curious if they can get to the candy that you put on top of the screen that they can't get through, there's your answer. Because I know I had done it, and everything was okay, but I was like, I don't know why. I was just really worried this year. But they did what they could do. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to share that with everybody. That was cool
Why
looking.
did you put it on the screen instead of right on top of the frames?
So that's a great question. So George said.
No, I didn't tell you to do that. George said.
No, but at one of the meetings, somebody said you got to feed, and what you got to do is you've got to tape up your hive every single time you pull that or do something, because it's going to be cold. So this was going back before the season now. And I will absolutely admit, I'm the laziest beekeeper ever. So my thought was, I don't feel like taping that that feeder box every single time. So I have to make a decision right now. If I put the screen on top, I have to break that open, break the seal, and retape it. I don't really feel like doing that. So I'm going to put the screen on the bottom, which I had done a couple years ago. And I remembered it working. So that way I thought, all I have to do is pull off the lid, add food if I need to, and I'm done, because I am going to write a book on lazy beekeeping as soon as I get them to live.
But you see the concern that the bees can't get to it, right?
They got to, yeah.
Some of it.
They
That's
got
an
to, yeah.
1/8-inch screen?
What's that?
That's 1/8-inch screen?
Yeah,
I
that's
believe,
So
yeah.
like maybe quarter would work better.
But the quarter they can go through.
Sure.
Yeah, you want them to go through.
No, I.
She wants to be able to open
I
them, not
wanted
have
to
them
not
come
have
up.
to
She didn't want
suit
to
up.
bail, yeah.
So the 1/8-inch works fine for a while, but then the quarter inch work. The reason for the quarter inch or the half inch is so that the fondant doesn't ooze down between the frames.
Right.
And then when you do need to finally pull frames out, you can't, you're digging, you're really digging this hardened up fondant out from between the frames, which is just a mess. That's the reason I do quarter or half inch, is so that the fondant doesn't ooze.
So put the fondant on parchment paper or wax paper and go, that way it won't stick to the top.
If they can get up through the
And
screen
they
and
can
feed
chew
on
it
it.
and-
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So
Yeah.
when I do this with hard candy and I realize that they're probably chewing what they can get, every once in a while, if I do go out and open it, I'll take the candy and I'll go shh, 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 and I'll scrape it down and let some of the sugar fall through to level it out so that they can reach it again. Like I said, I'm about as lazy as can be. It's just I have such limited time to get into my hive, so I try to be as effective as I can in a quick amount of time. But
Well, yay, it was alive.
yeah, it was alive. And credit to Carissa, because this is actually a nuke I bought off of Carissa. So this is Carissa's genetics. So
That
yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
Well, most of this has been beaten to death by all the cowboys and cowgirls in here already. But again, if it's greater than 50 degrees, then you can feed with liquid. And if it's greater than 50 degrees, go inside and check your middle frames for brood and replace the depleted honey frames that are around the brood. So they won't go out to the edges to get frames 1 and 10. So bring those closer to the brood because they'll need it to produce the food. 1-to-1 sugar syrup could be delivered in a Boardman feeder, which is outside on the entrance, or in a frame feeder. A good thing about a frame feeder is it sits inside the hive, and you can hold about a gallon, and it's warm. So if it's really cold, they're not going to go out and get the 1-to-1 syrup that's in the Boardman feeder, unless they're really desperate. And as Warren Graham would said, if you feed them for 1 or 2 weeks, now or in early April, it'll give them a boost, but only for 1 or 2 weeks. As George mentioned, you have to size the bees to the container. So reduce the number of boxes for the weak hives or combine the colonies. So with I have 11 hives. One of them died over the winter. So I cleaned that out and I took a nuke that I had. It was a robust nuke, so it took all 10 frames and put them into a single box in that hive, and they're doing fine. They're making brood right now. I have another hive that's it was in a double deep, and it had a super on the bottom, and it wasn't very populated with bees. It had some winter kill. I think it was probably a little too wet in there. So I took the super off. I reduced it down to 1 deep, and those bees had no brood in them. There's probably enough bees, but it's a weak colony. So I think what I will do, and I have another nuke available, what I will do is in a nice warm day, I'll take that hive, take the inner cover off, put a piece of newspaper on top, put an empty deep on top of that, and then go into my nuke, which is just next door, and I'll move all 10 frames of the nuke. It's in a 5-frame double deep. I'll move all 10 frames in there, and they'll merge, and it'll be a good size hive. And then I'll have a nuke box ready to make another nuke colony in swarm season. Because of the temperature swings in March, you still want to keep the insulation and the hive wraps on. What you can do is add a frame with undrawn foundation to every box. So we've talked in the past about the toxicity of old frames and how the cells get smaller, the bees get smaller, honey production goes way down. So try to replace a frame in every box every year. Let's see. Wait until April to switch deeps. It's way too cold now. Don't go fooling around. Not too much cowboy beekeeping going on now. Any questions?
When
Good
you
luck
say
with your own cowboy beekeeping.
when you say switch deeps, you mean reverse?
Reverse the deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because bees like to, or the brood swarm, the brood chamber likes to go up and out. So they'll populate the top box, and if you need more room, it's customary in April to take the top box, move it to the bottom, and take the other box, put it on the top, which is usually going to be empty, and the queen will move up and out and fill up both boxes. Alternatively, what you can do is selectively take sealed brood and put it down below in that box. That's also a good way to manage swarming impulses. That's the, well, no, it's the Herman Dannauer method. Take the sealed brood from the top box, put it down below in the middle, and gradually build it out. And you just keep replenishing new frames in the top box, and the queen will be happy, and the bees will be happy. They won't run out of space. Another method. George.
So what's the update on growing degree days this year? Did you look recently?
Yeah, it's over 100. Everybody should have brood, except maybe the northernmost regions. But for me, it was probably around mid-February.
Is when we hit 100?
Yeah, when we hit 100. So I have observed over the years that when it hits about 100 accumulated growing degree days, then the bees start to make babies, because it's all based on warmth. It's not based on food availability. It's not based on pollen and honey in the hive. It's based on warmth. So once the whole earth warms up in the spring, depending on how warm it gets, how early, they'll start to make babies. So right now, everybody should be making babies in their hives.
This time of year, when I first inspection, I look for any empty boxes on the bottom. In other words, no bees in it, really.
You did what?
I look for empty boxes at the bottom of the hive.
Oh, sure.
I take them off.
Yep.
And I put a cleaned up box. And if you have any honey left over from somewhere, I put that in there at the bottom. So I like the brood to be not right at the bottom. I do it all medium, especially. So I don't like the medium with the queen right on this time of year, right at the bottom.
Yeah,
so
I would
put
move
a
them down
cleaned
there.
up box with some honey on it, and then the boxes with the queen.
Yeah, they can always run down and get the honey and
Right.
come back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps
So
it a little
way too
warm.
early to switch boxes. They like it at the top where it's warm, because they're
And
all
I sit
cranking
out
it to
I have
be
a chair in the
95.
apiary. I sit there and scrape the frames and listen to a bee podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have a hive that has a lot of honey in it, and you don't want to spin that out, because sometimes if the hive is too congested with honey, you want to get rid of that when they're bringing in new nectar, because you don't want to sell sugar syrup honey. So you can always open up the hive a little bit. If you have corks in the boxes, if you have a vent you can adjust on the top, open those vents up, let more cold air in, they'll eat more honey to keep it warm in there. That's one way of getting rid of the honey. Or you can save it and give it to a weak hive. As the cowboys know, you can do all kinds of things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Charlie Calder. Any of you that don't know me, I am the committee lead for the Queen team. I wanted to just come out and explain what we do and what kind of opportunities there are to the membership. Our purpose, okay. Our purpose is to produce quality local queens available to the membership. That's our primary mission. But our secondary mission is education. And that's a lot not often taken advantage of. So I just wanted to point out how much opportunity there is there to the membership. We have 24 mating boxes out of the apiary. We go in those mating boxes about 35 times each every season. So each time we go in, we have to look for queens, we have to check for disease, look for swarm cells. We do everything that you would normally do in your own hive, and this is a great opportunity to come out and learn what you may not know or learn different ways to do things that you may already be doing. Every time we're out there, there is decades of experience always there. So, you know, regardless of what you know, you can always learn something new out there. And it's all free. We are going to make a few changes this year to what we're doing to try and make it a little more easy, because right now most of our events are done during the workday. So we're going to move some of them to after work as the weather gets a little warmer, to allow people that work, that want to come out, to have the opportunity. We're also going to try and have some educational classes specifically just to go over queen rearing, how you know, most members would not really need to graft. We'll teach you how to graft, but there are simpler ways that you can make your own queens. We can go over that in a separate class. A lot of the things that are available to you are learn how to read a comb. You really learn how to find a queen, because you do that constantly. How to make splits, how to do mite checks and mite treatments. Everything that has to do with being in the hive is available to learn for nothing. And there's a lot of experience out there. So I just wanted to bring that out. I'm going to have a list of the events that we were going to have scheduled. I will put that on the volunteer page, and I'll probably also give it to Marissa and put something out in the newsletter to show what the opportunities are. You don't have to be a member of the committee to come out. You can come out once just to see what we're doing, and to take an opportunity and learn something or teach something. It's not just for new beekeepers. You can be you know, I've had people say to me, you know, I really wanted to become a mentor, but I just don't have the time. Well, if that's your feeling, you don't have the time for that, you can come out one Saturday and mentor somebody there. So I just wanted to let the membership know that this is an opportunity that's there, that it's not utilized as much as it really could be. And you can contact me, email me. There's a committee sign-up page. You can sign up to the committee. And if anybody has any questions, yeah, George.
What time of year do you normally do your first draft?
We're probably going to do it the second week in April, which would be like the 15th. And we'll do 5. Yes?
If you have 2 queens, how do you know which one to get rid of?
Ooh. George, you got 20 minutes for that?
Skinny one.
Flip a coin.
Yeah. Oh, you mean 2 queens in the same hive?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they will fight it out, but they may both lose.
Yeah.
I don't really have an answer for that one.
Like 2 live active queens?
Yeah, well, that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly in the spring. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. Did I answer your question, George? Or Howard?
Yeah.
I was going to suggest maybe if you can find one, separate it into another box.
Well, yeah,
and throw other bees in it.
Yeah, you could split.
Yeah.
And then evaluate how they're doing and merge them back. Right. Yeah, that is an idea. Yeah.
Can I just on the queen team?
Yeah.
I know that when I participated in the past, I will say it was probably one of the most fun things I've done with this club is going and observing and experiencing the queen team, what they do. But it was always on the weekend. Are we not doing weekends anymore?
Now, what you remember was we always have our sales on Saturdays. We load the queens, the cells into them the same day we pull the queens out. That would be a Saturday. But then the cells that we put in on that Saturday, we come back on Tuesday to see whether or not they hatched. Okay? We also have to come out a number of times to check for swarms, particularly right after we've taken the old queen out, because there's old larvae or brood in there that they can make this all of a sudden sense there's no queen in it. We want to do something. Sometimes that cell you put in there doesn't convince them. So we have to go back in and check for that. That's why I said, to make it, we are kind of, in the past, we were kind of locked into certain times.
Okay.
We can change that. You know.
I guess I have to register with the Queen team. I must not still be in there because I don't get any emails.
Well, everything, all members, all the
Everything gets
committees
washed out,
were washed
right?
out.
Yeah.
So yes.
So how does someone find out when, I guess that's kind of what you
Yeah, I
said,
did
when
join
the
the
things
Queen
are
team again.
happening? You do join it?
Yeah, just join
Well,
the
no,
Queen team.
I will post them as volunteer opportunities.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Or watch the volunteers. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I will also try and put something so that it's in the newsletter, just to say what's
Cool.
coming up.
Okay. Cool.
Anything?
I mean,
Sure.
I just want to plug the Queen Team's been in existence probably for 10 years, just for some history here, and the initial goal was to try to get the best genetics out to the membership, and I did it I think Keith started it, and then I took it on, and then I think Charlie took it on, and there's been a lot of people involved, and I think over the years we have sent out probably hundreds, if not hundreds of queen cells, hundreds of queens, if not 1,000 of the best local stuff into the area. So Charlie's done a wonderful job continuing that, and with everything we do, I'm plugging a little bit for people to come out and get out and get involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
we all benefit
it's
from
there.
we're all benefiting from what Charlie's doing, right?
Well, it's not just me. I mean, we have a great support team.
Oh, the Queen Team in general,
I mean,
for sure, yeah.
But, I mean, it's something that's just not utilized.
Yeah.
Get her done.
And you can learn how to mark queens just like the blue one.
Yes. You can learn how to mark queens, you can learn how to lose queens.
That's one of mine. That's what happens when you take the pen and you don't dab it on something first before you dab it on the queen.
We even put numbers on.
But if you've never marked a queen, why not mark a CCBA queen first instead of your queen, right?
Practice on a drone anyway.
All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Next up. All right. This is my quote book report, and it's not exactly a book report, but it is from Bee Culture magazine, and it was an article by one of the folks from the Honeybee Health Coalition. Good little article, lots of content in it, and I'm going to kind of walk you through what this Honeybee Health Coalition is and does. So it does bring together kind of a very disparate group. You think about beekeepers and growers, well, that's not disparate at all. There's growers and beekeepers are constantly working together. Researchers are involved. Government's involved. Oh, great, government's involved. That's could nothing go wrong there. Agribusiness. Ooh, is that a bad word? Can be good. Could it be conservation groups? Yeah, that could help. Manufacturers. Manufacturers of what? Well, it could be manufacturers of equipment. It could be manufacturers of chemicals, or it could be pharmaceuticals. None of that can be bad. None of that can be good. It's somewhere in the middle. And then you've got consumer brands that are involved to improve the health of honeybees. So lots of members of this group. We're actually a member because we're part of the Penn State Beekeepers Association, which is a member of EAS, Eastern Agricultural Society, which is a member of the Honeybee Health Coalition. So indirectly, we do this stuff. So lots of different groups that are involved with this. And you can see like Vito Pharma is one of the pharmaceuticals. You got the United Soybean Board, a very broad group. And then the EPA, Carissa's a member of the Honeybee Health Coalition because EPA is a member. Shh! Don't tell anyone that. Okay. Next slide, please. Let's keep moving on. So, what guides the work of the Honeybee Health Coalition? Focusing on agriculture, stewardship, holistic approaches, collaboration, healthy ecosystems, leadership. Well, does that not sound like everything that we do? One way or another, some of us more than others in some areas. Maybe one of you focuses on stewardship because Russ is running the apprentice program. Maybe someone else is doing collaboration like community outreach, healthy ecosystem. So there's a lot of that stuff that they do, and what's guiding them are basically the same principles that guide us. Slide. So in this article, they talked about the losses last year. I had heard that it was greater than 60%, and I can attest outside of my yard at home, I had like 85% loss at the yards I was managing. And some of you were right up there in that same number. It was a bad year last year. And it's the largest die-off since colony collapse disorder back in 2006. What caused it last year? Well, is it herbicides? Is it pesticides? Is it the concrete jungle as people are putting in, lots of townhomes and single-family homes and covering the ground with beautiful Bermuda grass or whatever grass, fescue, whatever it is, that has no beneficial value to any pollinator? That has part of it to do that whole monoculture issue and non-nectaring plants, and it could also be pests. We don't have Tropilae lapse yet, but it's coming. But we certainly have varroa mites. And thank you to the folks that are bringing up those packets from the south that include lots of hive beetles, because we're hive beetle all over the place now, which, talk to somebody who's been doing this for a few years, that wasn't a problem here. Same thing with varroa, it wasn't a problem here. So we've got to, again, the article talks a lot about, paying attention to these issues, talk to your neighbors. Don't use those pesticides, or if you do, let me know so I can lock up my bees. Well, my bees are going a mile. Am I going to talk to the 300 people that are within a mile of me? Probably not. But we've got to continue to get the word to our neighbors to cut that crap out. That's a technical term. Oh yes, that didn't work.
It did. It was amazing.
It was amazing. I hit the space key to advance, and Chris pushed the button. Okay. So we are lucky in Pennsylvania, but there are a lot of other states where if you want to put a beehive on public land, oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. If you live in a restricted township, like this township, Easttown Township, to put a hive in, you've got to have 2.5 acres.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the word in Easttown Township. If you live in an HOA, your HOA may say you can't have beehives, or they may say you can have them until somebody gets stung and they're gone. And that's why when George was talking about the HOA hives, the HOA in that township, well, these were 1 acre lots too. These were not little houses and little lots. They were mean bees, and the HOA said, get them out of here. They can go away. So let's talk for a second about this was also very interesting about the article that 68 studies found negative effects on wild bees from placement of honeybee hives. Recent analysis of 68 studies. 2 cases that the honeybees had a negative impact on the wild bees. So 2 out of 68, there was a negative impact. In other cases, the honeybees were actually a positive impact for the honeybees. So this has been used a lot. I've heard people saying, well, those honeybees are taken away from the native pollinators, and the studies don't bear that out. So this is something to keep an eye on and continue to read about. Yes, Carissa.
I wonder, these studies, are they looking at backyard beekeepers, or are they when you think about the commercial folks who have thousands and thousands of colonies?
Yes.
Compared to maybe my 10 colonies don't have a negative impact to wild bees, but what about the commercial,
So the studies, the 68 studies that were done were a mix of backyard beekeeping. One of the studies was on an isolated island off the coast of Italy, which is not our environment. But large colonies of bees, honeybees, generally don't have a negative impact on native bees. But that's not what this article is about. It was just an interesting tidbit that I pulled out of it. So it is something for us to think about. If you hear about the one study that showed there was a negative impact, take a look at the other 66 that either showed no impact or had a positive impact. So be aware of that. There can be cherry picking of studies to prove that you shouldn't have bees in your backyard, or that sort of thing. So be careful of hearing that. Okay. We still need honeybees. The policies are important. Speaking of policies, Mark Gingrich, who's the president emeritus of the Pennsylvania State Beekeepers, will be at the conference and meeting with select group of folks to talk about bee law, which sets up the policy in Pennsylvania, which apparently is open back up. It's in committee, and so we're working through that with the Apiary Advisory Board and Pennsylvania State Beekeepers. Interesting, going back to the same note here, impact of sheep grazing has a higher impact on wild bee population than managed bees. Who'd have thought that sheep and wild bees interrelate, but sheep eat a lot of the forage that wild bees need. Shocking. And just as a side note, with all that wind yesterday, I walked out on my back porch and it was covered with maple flowers. And up until recently, I didn't realize that maples had flowers. They're little tiny little flowers, but they're all over my back deck because it had blown up. That's where I think a lot of the nectar was coming from in the hives that I was looking at earlier this week. We need to feed the bees. Find a tree. Find a black locust. Find a cherry. Lots of good places. Next slide. That's it. Oh yeah. So money does talk. Pollination services. It's over $400 million in 2024. Honey was about $375 million in that same year. But that's not where the real money is. The real money is if you take a look at the produce that was generated because of pollination services, it was about $18 billion worth of produce created because our bees were out pollinating almonds and blueberries and cherries and apples, and the list goes on and on and on. And don't forget about the good stuff, the squash and the pumpkins, and they really go for that too. So I think that was my last slide. Thank you very much. Now we'll have Sheena, who's going to talk for a minute on some plants. Thank you. Between the black lines.
Yeah, if you're at the table, it's perfect.
You're good.
Can I move this, or is that not good?
You can move it.
Hi, I'm Sheena.
Hi,
I'm
Sheena.
the
Hi, Sheena.
plant crew committee, horticultural, whatever we call it.
Chief.
Yeah, so I make sure you all have plants. I just wanted to come up here to plant sales coming up, and before I talk about that, I wanted to thank my volunteers who make this happen. So we've got Leela, Carla, Bill, Sherry, Tiffany, Paul Pitts, Eileen, Rob, Peter, and George. They're all my regular plant folks that we get together every Thursday in a small dank basement, and we put seeds in the soil, and yeah, so that's been fun. But I also wanted to take a moment to thank our volunteers that came last, I guess 2 Thursdays ago, to help us rebuild the hoop house and plant some bare root perennials that came in. We are trying something new for at least me, and part of the plants that we're selling this year are going to be from bare root stock that we've potted up for y'all, and hopefully they'll start doing something before the sale comes. But it's an experiment. So I just want to thank Diane, Mike. I think both of y'all are here today.
Yeah, Mike, stand up. If you need a Mike. If you need a hoop house built, there's your guy.
Hiroshi, Rita, and Jeff. And if I missed someone, did I miss anybody? Okay.
No, that help was terrific.
Yeah, y'all came at short notice to help us with some unexpected tasks. So we really appreciate that. So this year, if you don't know, we run a plant sale. It's a native plants mostly, but we have some other offerings as well. This year we're going to have, I was just doing a quick tally to see if I can give you all numbers, because so we have around 600 plugs, perennial plugs that we're getting from a nursery. We have 60 shrubs and trees, 75 bare root shrubs and perennials, and that we're going to be offering up for sale, all from nurseries. And then we have about 1,000 club grown flowers, perennials, and veggies. So
Lavender.
I was going to mention that.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Okay, a lot of you guys get mad at me for offering only native plants. And Mark doesn't help by saying that we're not doing anything to hurt the native bee population. Whatever, we disagree. So, there's more than that reason I have for putting native plants on offer, and I don't want to get into it. But I guess I've made a concession this year where we're offering a lot of lavender, because I don't think that's going to go wild and spread like crazy, because I haven't seen it happen. I haven't heard of it happening. There's a lot of English lavender that we're growing. So far, we've got, I don't know, at least 5 flats we're hoping to have available. It looks great now, so unless something catastrophic happens, we'll have a lot of really good-looking lavender plants for you beekeepers that love to feed your European honeybees. So,
with European lavender, so
yes.
We got that right.
Yes. Okay. Oh, you're probably wondering when it is. It's on May 9th this year. May 9th, Saturday, May 9th.
Is that the pickup or the sale date?
That's the pickup date and the sale date, because we're going to have plants. Every year we have plants that are extra that haven't been sold on the website or haven't been offered because I didn't know if they were going to be sellable by the time I put them on the website. So the way this usually works, if you haven't done this before with us, I take inventory a couple weeks before the plant sale, and I put it all on the internet, and then it's available for y'all to buy ahead of time. And I will send numerous emails out, so please don't ask me unless you think what.
Yes.
May 9th, something is happening, and I will put out the plant sale stuff on April 25th or earlier. I will go ahead and, that's my goal. So if it's not out April 25th, sorry. It's one person doing this. So that's all I have to say.
So it'll go live on April 25th.
Maybe.
Purchase, maybe.
I will send out
Around.
numerous emails. Cool, thanks.
I think you all know that the CCBA has a grant program. The grant program is funded from 15% of the general operating budget at the end of the year. And we give away grants in the amount of $1,500 per grant, and that usually accommodates 6 grants a year. The grant season is opened on January 1st and it ends on April 1st. We give grants to institutions, groups, corporations, not individuals, not CCBA members, because our 501c3 status prevents a member from benefiting from being a member of the organization. Proposals have to further one of the goals of the CCBA and regarding the art and science, beekeeping, pollinators, conservation, agriculture, and/or education within all those areas. Applications are submitted via the CCBA website. They are competitive. They're reviewed by the grant committee, and recommendations go forward to the board for funding. If you have any people that you know that would be interested in applying for the grants, just tell them about it. It's okay for CCBA members to pass on this information to their friends that will support the club activities, but you can't be a major owner of the receiving entity. If you have any questions about that, or if anybody else has a question about it, you can drop me a line at grants@chescobees.org, and I'll answer any questions that people may have about submitting grants to the club. Any questions about it? Yeah.
Well,
Charlie?
if you're a member of an organization, can that organization apply for a grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a part of the grant submission process where a relationship can be put down. You know, CCBA member can be a member of the organization, just can't run it. Yep. So there's disclosures in there.
How many applications do you usually get a year?
Oh, we usually get maybe up to 8. Yep. So some are rejected. It is competitive.
I guess, do they have to be in Chester County, Delaware County?
Not necessarily. Most of so we give preference to people in Chester County, Delaware County, New Jersey.
Montco one year, I think.
Is what?
Montco, Montgomery County, I think we did.
Oh, yeah.
In conjunction with
Montgomery
them,
County too.
the Beekeepers.
That's right. In
Yeah.
conjunction with them, we funded Martha's House, was it?
Yeah.
Yep. And so I can have the next slide. I'll show you some successes. This is Jenkins Arboretum. They had a cottage bee garden. So there's a before and after slide. That on the left, that nice lush garden is mostly full of invasives and things that have overgrown. So they kind of like bush hogged that area, and with some volunteer help too. And they planted 600 plants, including 28 taxa, and it'll be a nice looking area. Let me tell you what they consider great pollinator plants. For all pollinators, they have yarrow, nodding onion, Atlantic camas, bluebeard, coneflower, sunflower, lavender, sundial lupin, lance-leaf loosestrife, eastern bee balm, spotted bee balm, pink evening primrose, large flowered beard tongue, fire pink, 4 different kinds of goldenrod, lamb's ear, Stokes aster, blue wood aster, heath aster, Carolina lupin, speedwell, and Culver's root. So those are all great pollinator plants. And like I said, they put 600 around that place, so it should be pretty nice when it finally grows up this spring.
I'd like to point out that a lot of those are at the plant sale.
All right.
Bonzos are needed.
Next slide. We supported Bondsville Mill Park. As was mentioned, we have an apiary there. So this is their mill run, and on the left is before, and it was overgrown with stilt grass. And that's a tough plant to eradicate, so they had a boatload of volunteers come in and pull it all up. And they refurbished the area with coralberry, false indigo, pawpaw, pussy willow, and snowberry. Native plants all. Bondsville Mill Park is into native plants. Next slide. Tyler Arboretum had a beehive in the past. They were or last year they did not. So they applied for funds to put in beehives and educate the public. And there's a picture of their beehives that they established and educating the public with queen in a frame box. Next slide. This is an interesting one from Westchester University, Dr. John Picciotto. So he wants to kill small hive beetles with nematodes. So the idea is, and a lot of people in here are infected with small hive beetles and could definitely use nematodes to control them. The problem is bulk production of nematodes. How are you going to do it? It's tough. So he's trying to optimize the condition for growing nematodes in a bioreactor or some mass scale up. And he's looking at the different entities that go into this kind of production. So at the bottom right, there's a picture of a nematode. It's barely visible, little tiny worm, and it's Steinerema coprocarpsi. That's the nematode. The nematode needs a bacteria as a symbiotic bacteria. So they've cultivated the bacteria on agar dishes. They add the nematode to it. They grow quite well with the co-cultivation of the bacteria. And he's looking at different ways to amplify this process. You can either grow them in a culture of bacteria, or you can grow them in wax moth larvae. So the upper right is some culture dishes that have wax moth larvae. The nematodes can be added to the wax moth larvae. They infect the wax moth larvae, multiply inside until they pop and kill them, and then you got a lot more nematodes. So they've experimented with all those different conditions. And they're hoping to perfect their technique so they can grow them in bulk. Interesting project that we funded.
I wonder if he's got somebody that's got small hive beetles that he can test against.
Is what?
I wonder if he's got someone that has lots of small hive beetles.
That he can test against?
Yeah.
They'll probably do field trials later on.
I need to reach out to this guy.
So if he's trying for field trials, we'll mention Don. Next slide. Tower Hill School in Wilmington, Delaware, had a bee club, and they reactivated it. They spent money on another nuke, put another hive in there, reactivated the bee club, so they train the students. The students do all the care of the hives. They also have instruction on candle making and honey production. So they extract and sell their honey, and they make candles. Next slide. Okay, this is a very interesting one. New Covenant Community Church, outreach to Kenya, is in Africa. So this church has been working with 4 local pastors in Kenya for a couple of years, teaching them how to do beekeeping by Zoom. So with our funds last year, and a lot of other volunteer funds, they went over to Kenya in September. They set up 3 apiaries, 30 hives. They built 30 swarm boxes, because you just can't order a package of bees in Kenya. You have to catch your own. So it's different pictures of them instructing the people and building hives and training. They trained 20 farmers, came in from different areas, and they trained them all and gave a talk on beekeeping and how to do it. And the trainers trained the other people. And so we had 3 members of our club. That's Walt Alunas in the right there. Any of the members here today? Okay. 3 members of our club went over, and other volunteers from New Covenant Community Church. And they went over in September, and I got this midterm report in November. So in that 2-month period, they had caught 20 swarms already. So they catch a swarm, dump it in the hive, and go on from there. So worthwhile there. I think that's the last one. Any questions on the grant program?
Very cool.
Thanks.
So apologize, I'm down in Hilton Head, so couldn't be there in person. It is 70 degrees, warm, sunny. It's beautiful. All right. So last month, we announced our intention to move away from our swarmed list and move to a service called Bee Swarmed. The slide here shows why we are going through that process, what we think we'll gain out of it. The primary, well, there's multiple reasons. One is we will no longer have our personal contact information out on the CCBA website. So that is a security concern that we will alleviate. We will also dramatically reduce the administration required to have a swarm list, because each individual who wants to be on the swarm list can take care of that themselves. They can create their own accounts, manage their own accounts, define their own perimeters of where they want to go after swarms and so forth. So it makes it much more self-service. We also get the benefit of it being a service that's out there that people will find maybe easier than they will find our website to be able to report swarms. So we should receive more reports of swarms than we have in the past, and we'll be able to validate that because the application tracks every swarm that's reported. And that's another benefit, that we will have really good data by the end of the year of how many swarms have been in our areas, where they are, the timing, locations, and all that type of information. So super helpful information. The application attempts to use AI to validate whether or not they're honeybees versus wasps if the reporter uploads photographs of the swarm. So hopefully that will reduce the amount of false swarm reports. It also allows us to respond faster. So when a swarm is reported by a member of the public, a blast, either phone message or a text or emails go out, and it's kind of competitive. So whoever gets to it first gets to claim it. So hopefully we will get a faster response to the reported swarms. For the public, it's really helpful in that they don't have to find our website. They certainly can go there and report it. But they simply put in the information about it, and then they sit back and wait for somebody to contact them. The information that is made available to the beekeepers is somewhat limited at first. It gives a general area, and that it's within the perimeter that you've set up, but you don't have the exact address and so forth. So the only time personal information is shared is between the beekeeper who first responds to the report and the person who put in the report. They share contact information when the beekeeper reaches out, and they can coordinate the pickup activity and how they want to move forward. The public can go and report swarms either through our website, which we've now updated to include a link to the report, the reporting service, or they can go directly to beeswarmed.org and report the swarm. Either way, they report it. It actually goes through the same link. The Bee Swarmed application will take that report and generate the messages out to the beekeepers in the surrounding areas. for the beekeepers who have defined a range that is within where the report came in. So hopefully they get a faster response to the reported swarm. As a member of, because the CCBA is doing this as a sponsorship, so we provide a small donation to Bee Swarmed to be part of this service, we will get priority reporting. So if a report of a swarm goes out there, the first people that get notified are members of a beekeeping association that's sponsoring the Bee Swarmed nonprofit organization. After a minute or two, if nobody responds, then they will notify additional beekeepers that are independent. All right, if we can go on to the next slide. So now is the time for us beekeepers to sign up and create an account and link that account to the Bee Swarmed. To set up account in Bee Swarmed, so that, and link it to our CCBA beekeeping association. So if you log into our website now and go to the Swarm page, you will see a link to be able to join the beeswarm.org list. All right, and you'll want to do that now. Right now we have 12 people who have signed up and are associated with the CCBA. We have already received one swarm report that was responded to. Unfortunately, I don't think it was actually honeybees. I think it was probably some yellow jackets. But John Iannacone, I think is the last name, did respond to a report last week. So we have our first swarm that has been reported through us. So next slide. When you go to sign up, it's going to take you to the beeswarm.org website. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a place where you can add yourself as a new beekeeper. It's a pretty straightforward process. You'll pretty much enter the same information that you would have if it was last year and you were providing your data to Howard or myself to be on the swarm list. It's going to prompt you for your name, location, contact information, whether you want phone or email and so forth. And I think there's also a WhatsApp ID that you can provide. Next slide. So this is where the image of the website that you'll go to sign up to be a beekeeper. As you do that, there is a place where you can specify what association you're part of, and you'll simply select the CCBA. Yeah, you can specify whether or not you are willing to do cutouts. You could put restrictions, obviously, on how far away from your location you're willing to travel. When a person reports a swarm, the information that is gathered at the time of reporting would help identify whether or not a cutout is required. So they do allow you to upload photos and provide commentary and specify the location of the hive or of the swarm. So you should have a pretty good idea just by the report that is put out there whether or not it would involve a cutout or not. As I said earlier, the first beekeeper that responds claims a swarm. When they claim the swarm, they have that record locked. Nobody else can respond to it. That beekeeper would reach out to the person reporting the swarm and, through that dialogue, determine whether or not they're, able to help out or not, or, if it's not a swarm of honeybees and it's actually wasps or yellow jackets, we can refer them to an exterminator or some other service. If the beekeeper, for whatever reason, doesn't want to respond to that swarm, maybe it involves a cutout and they don't want to do that, they would release that report and the next person, the next beekeeper who responds can claim it. So hopefully the process will work pretty smoothly, both for the beekeeper as well as the people reporting the swarms.
I've got one question. Has anybody signed up yet?
I did it
Well,
last, and it was super simple. As soon as I got done, I got 2 emails from Be Swarmed, and then it said that the association has to approve me. Like 15 minutes later, I got the email saying that I was approved.
So I did it last
very
meeting.
simple.
I did it last meeting, and I just went to go sign in now, and it says you never confirmed your email. So I checked my email.
I did notice that it said that you had to confirm your email, but I never got the confirmation.
Email.
So I said resend the confirmation, and then I got it.
I just said resend the confirmation, and I'm still not getting it. So I was just wondering.
Check your spam. Yeah, we have 12 members who have signed up so far. Last year we had about 50 people on the swarm list. So if you're interested in responding to swarm reports, go ahead and create an account on Be Swarmed, and you'll be on the list. The beauty is once you've signed up and have an account, there's no annual process. This is out there until you remove yourself. If you go on vacation for 3 weeks down to Hilton Head or something like that, you can simply change your perimeter to be 0 or whatever, or temporarily suspend it so that you're not getting notified when you're not able to respond. When if you ever decide not to be a beekeeper anymore, you simply disable your account and you're done. But you won't have to continually every year renew your name on a swarm list.
And don't forget, swarms in our area are a nuisance, honestly. So as a beekeeper, you probably should try to prevent them or put up swarm traps to catch them, or clip your queen's wings so they don't end up in someone's house, right? So, it's great to go out and catch swarms, but you really need to be hanging swarm traps and trying to prevent them too.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
So I got a question real fast, like going into that. Does the association have any kind of affiliation with any exterminator that maybe if we find a swarm and it's yellow jackets and we have to refer to an exterminator, maybe we get a kickback as an association?
We don't.
We should.
We could, but we don't. And part of that is, if you think about there's a lot of ramifications to it.
Yeah, like with our nonprofit.
Yes, exactly. And so it's something to think about. If we get, if that rises to the level of, we need to do that, we'll look at it.
We have one, even if it's not a kickback per one, that they make an annual $500 donation to or something.
Obviously, there's pluses and minuses to both. I've been doing this since I was a kid, so I kind of like wiring. I like the wax, the smell of it. When I'm ready to put new comb in, I could just put the whole frame in my solar wax melter, and it all melts, and I don't have anything left. And the propolis is all soft, so it's easy to scrape the frame. I was worried about pesticides in the wax. But I asked Randy Aller about that, and he's not concerned, so I figure he knows better than anybody. So I've kind of leaned back towards wax. I did have a bunch of plastic ones, and somebody last meeting pointed out the right temperature to scrape them, because I thought I had to put them in the freezer. But when it was in the 40s, I was able to scrape them pretty well. But I'm going to have to re-wax them and that kind of stuff. So, using my own wax, it did dawn on me I shouldn't use the old wax, the darker wax, because it was probably from old brood comb that probably has more pesticides in it. I should use the Tapping's wax that would be cleaner to put on the foundation. But somebody asked about wiring frames, so I'm not sure how much people care about this, but this is the jig I built to wire the frames, and most of this is going to be a horizontal presentation and a vertical need, but we'll see how this goes. So I have this practically new frame here. Probably older than some of you. And I built this jig to hold the frame, kind of type I have a mixture of frames from Root and Dayton and Ike's and all over. So each one's a little different, whether it'll hold it right or not. The one key thing I found is at a hardware store, this is a brad nailer. So if you have a small nail, you know how hard it is to put in a small nail? To try to grip it and use the hammer? Well, this, you put the head into this tube. There's a magnet in there that holds it. And you can then just push this here and push it part way in, and then the nail's right there. So, finding this brad nailer, it's at a hardware store in Fraser years ago. But what I do is I put the nail at the top and the bottom, and then I've got my spool of wire here. This is wire made for this purpose that you would get from places like Dayton. And then in the frame, I did put little eyelets in here. So it's a piece of metal with a hole in it that you can put in. And that keeps the wires from digging into the wood. And then I used, I must be nervous because I'm shaking. I can't be old. I'm now realizing I should have taken a nail, that's going to be too small, and clean out the hole. Because now I can't get the darn wire through.
Been propylized up?
They've propylized it up. There it goes. And do you recognize these things? Those are insulators, electric fence insulators. But they're also a pulley. I'm going to have trouble.
Take your badge off, Howard.
What's that?
Take your badge off.
Take my badge off.
Yeah.
You know who I am. Anyway, I'm going to have trouble finding the holes. So imagine it. So you go around this way. Go around this way. Go around this way. And then you let go of it, it all goes to hell.
This is why they build plastic.
And then finally you go through here and you wrap it around the nail. And then you pull it tight and wrap this around. You grab the wire with this and take it and wrap it around that nail. And then you pound the nails in. And then you're done.
You sold me. I'm definitely switching everything over now.
Every single piece.
Every single piece.
Howard, so if you reuse your wax frames, do you rewire them each time you?
It depends on how loose it feels and how, if it looks rusty or the wire's rusty or something.
Do you use a wire crimper at all?
You know, I was thinking I'd love to have one. I've never had a wire crimper. That helps tighten it up.
That's right.
But I've never had one. And I even do this with the foundation that has wires this way. Kind of like belts and suspenders, I guess. Sometimes I put plastic foundation in a frame that had the wires. I didn't take the wires out. And the bees would clearly not build cells where the wires were. So if you're going to switch to plastic, take the wires out. Does anybody use wax anymore?
I do.
All right.
I've got some and I use it occasionally.
So this is teaching you who don't care.
Oh, no.
So Howard, can I ask a stupid question?
Yes.
The wire, the only purpose of that is so when you put it in your extractor, it just doesn't all blow out, right? Kind of like when you put the filter in your heater, there's one side that's supposed to go where the wind blows, don't put it in backwards like me, where the whole like thing gets blown into the heater. The purpose is to keep the cone from falling out of the frame, right?
So the one step that yes.
Just for the people that are new that don't understand.
Well, the step I missed telling you about is I put the foundation in. How many people recognize this?
Train
Transformer, right? For running your trains. So I've got alligator clips on it, and I put one on one end, one on the other end. I've got the wax foundation, the wires are below it. I turn this on about half power, I count about 3 or 4, turn it off and push it in, the wires are all hot. So now I've embedded it. The other option, Carol just gave me this bag.
Does everybody do all this that does what? I think I need a crystal.
There's also this, if you have a solid backing, you can run this over the wire. It'll push it into the wax.
So for 2 cents extra a sheet, you can buy it pre-wired?
Yeah, I do this even on 3 wires. So it's nice and strong. And then you forget to put your entrance reducer on, the mouse goes in and eats it all up.
Except the wire.
Except the wires, that's right, the wires don't get eaten.
So is that what you do? You just buy it done?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, I think it's.
But it could bow, it tends to sometimes bow and not be perfectly straight. You've got a wire every couple inches, and embed it in there, it's much straighter.
Howard, you have a question over there. Where'd you get that wire, the brand holder?
I got it, I don't know if the store is still there. There was a hardware store. Do you know where where you do your driver's license renewal?
Yeah.
In that complex, at the
Lincoln.
far other end.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, it's
Okay, I didn't think
QVC,
so.
which is now gonna be Bond, yeah.
So,
What I use, I used to run foundationless, so I wire my frames as well. Home Depot's got the little kitty hammers, the little fluorescent orange handles. Yeah. When the end of the handle, you unscrew it, it's got a long stick with a magnet. Oh. And that holds your.
holds the nail.
Right in the little pile there and hit the next one. But yeah, they're like $1.50.
This is very handy.
Home Depot or Lowe's.
Well, except for not cleaning out the holes here, it was an excellent demo.
Yeah, it was.
We can't keep track of everything, Donna.
Where, did we?
All right, thanks everybody online.